Okay, we're going to open up to the audience. I saw a line, so great. So if you ask questions, say your name, and if you have a nonprofit organization that you're associated with, please state that name. And if you wanted to ask a specific panelist, you should identify the person as well. Thank you. Go ahead. No? Is that what?
This one is on.
So, Bob, can you make the one on the right, on your right mic to work, or we have to switch everybody to the left?
Y'all can come over on this side if y'all want.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we just come on over. It's not correct because on my right ring.
We need a balance there at least.
No, we need 2 lines though.
Second balance.
So do you have do you have a questions?
Yes, I have a question as well. So
Go ahead. Yeah.
I can ask while he's walking over. So
Sure. Go ahead.
Ed, love the work. Yukong, love the work on fighting back affirmative action policies. However, when Washington State, the government lost the affirmative action referendum, when California, they lost Prop 16, they just said, we're going to try again next year or another year. So the long-term solution is to get people like, for example, Yukong Zhao into office who will stop these at the beginning. Yeah. But what's the steps to getting, for example, Yukong is unfortunately in Florida. We'd love to have a clone of him in California. How do we get more people like him to run for office that we can actually support and that's worth supporting?
We can pay to relocate him.
To any panelist, to all the panelists.
Sure. So I mean, I run a PAC, so I think I might as well take this one. It's a good question. I think it's one that we've taken, especially in our communities where we don't get people involved in politics too much. The thing is, we need to convince them they can win, right? Like relocating doesn't work. You need people that know the area, know the community issues, but you need to show them that look, there's a whole coalition behind you. It's not just going to be the Indian or the Chinese or the Vietnamese or the Korean community that's backing you. It's going to be a broad coalition. So if we take, the work that SFFA had done, or if these nonprofits have done, that our PACs have done, and we show them this broad coalition and say, look, if you want to run, these coalitions are at your service to help you win, people will be a lot more encouraged because they know they have a chance and they know they're not just running to, be a sacrificial goat in that sense.
Let me answer this question. I think we have a lot more representative running nowadays and reflecting our community value and compare with 2014, say that when we started, there's not a lot of, we do have Asian American representative, but they are not on a lot of views as us. So I think we are on the right track. I'm not sure about the situation in Washington, but I do know there's a organization there that called, I think they were fighting against a proposition or something like that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the answer. Just want to say, Ed and Yukong, you two are my heroes.
Name, please.
Namaste everyone, my name is Anu Nair. I here as an individual. First of all, I want to thank the Silicon Valley Chinese Association Foundation to organizing this. It's really a good karma. And also, I really appreciate Ruthwich to represent our Indian community over here. And you're on top of the things what we are facing today. So I have actually, high school kids who are getting ready to go to college. So some of the concerns I have to, raise over here. And my concern actually was the last question you said. I know that we all defeated the Prop 16. I feel like that, the government is trying to do to execute a similar kind of what they want to achieve in the Prop 16 in a different way. Because, my neighbors and my friends, I have seen that the kids who are really academically well qualified with extracurricular activities, and they have good SAT scores, and they were all expecting good UCs like UCLA, UC Santa Cruz, UC San Diego, but they all end up getting in, maybe I don't say that maybe if you look at the ranking sector of the UCs, they all go into the lower segments of the UCs, and I see the sad and disappointed face in the kids. But it's very hard to explain to them actually what happened. They also don't know what happened. So for me, I feel that it is something they are doing similar to what they want to implement as part of the Prop 16, but they are doing it in a different way. So I think what's our steps, or how can we make sure that these things don't happen in the future?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's a great question, and I was also thinking about this this problem. We defeated Proposition 16. Now what, right? So they don't. The Constitution was not changed, but still, in practice, the colleges are still doing what they would like. They want to do, and without telling you, okay, this is because we removed Proposition 209. So it's one thing that it's in the Constitution. It's another thing that how they enforce our Constitution. So I think the answer is like long term and short term, right? In short term, so we need to support organizations like Student for Fair Admission, and we need people to give them complaints on all these cases, so that they can help us to start suing these universities. And on the long term, right? So I would say it's a concerted effort from all the people, all the citizens, that if we need to support the non-profitable organizations like SVCAF and Safer Foundation, so that we have more people come out, like wake up, right? So realize the situation. So we got some friends who were really who used to be for Proposition 16, and she supported that government preferential treatment. But then when it comes to her own daughter, her daughter did very well academically and curriculum, a lot of activities. But then she got like her daughter, I think, ends up like into a college, into a community college. And I think she got hurt. And that's ouch time, right? So we do not have to experience that ouch time ourselves to wake up. So let's help those organizations as much as possible, and help those candidates who are representing our values as much as possible, and make sure they get more. They get more force. They get more strong. They get much stronger, and we have more people in the office, so that in the long term we can really change the trend, change the tide. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tom. We're running against the deadline here, so let's keep the answer short and precise, please. We need to be out of here about 20 minutes. Any other comments regarding this? No? Okay, next.
First of all, thank you so much, Jason, Tony, for inviting me here. My name is Ritesh Chandan. I am running for United States Congress from District 17. In the year 2020, my main agenda was to defeat Prop 16. And I can tell you, like, I'm so grateful to Jason and Crystal Yu from Silicon Valley Chinese Association, Tony from the Equal Right for All PAC, and Tony Zhu, and everyone who stand against. And I'm very happy I see you did a great job with my youth team. One thing I want to mention that Prop 16, not only it hurt our children, but it also hurt the parents, because the Netflix private company funded $1 million for the Prop 16. So the direction what they were going with the Prop 16 was not only to damage or to punish the hardworking children, but also to punish the parents, and their strategy was to move out We Asians who are here for American dream, working very hard to relocate. This is where actually I'm again thankful for.
Do you have a question for us?
Yes, I'm coming there.
Okay.
So it's very important, what earlier the first person has asked. Many of the parents, they are telling their son got adopted into admitted into the Ivy League, but they haven't got into the UCs. Some of the parents, they are telling me that their son is in top 10 in school and which are guaranteed admission by California, but they are getting into something like UC Merced. So things are not fixed yet. They have found the back door, and this is where the back door. I like to request, especially Ed, to answer this question: how we are going to fix that back door?
That's the next battle. So here's a game plan. I'm not saying that this is the only game plan that's going to work, but Students for Fair Admissions is in federal court. Prop 209 deals with the state constitution. If Students for Fair Admissions wins our lawsuit and the Supreme Court at the federal level says that race and ethnicity cannot be used as an element in college admissions, then that gives Students for Fair Admissions or any other organization the right now to sue UCLA, to sue UC Berkeley, assuming that we have a student who is a member who was rejected. And we can go in, or any legal organization can go in and get the admissions data, can look at transcripts, can look at GPAs, can depose the individuals who work in the admissions committee. All of that can be exposed, God willing, if we win our Supreme Court case. So that, I think, is part of a broad plan to apply the new federal law that we hope is coming after the Supreme Court rules to places like UC.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope it is not too late for the hardworking children. That's what I want to say.
Any other comment? Okay. Next. Please state your name and if you're asking a specific panelist.
My name is Victor San Vicente, and I live in Milpitas, and I've been living in Silicon Valley since 1980, and I've seen this deteriorate because of the fact that right now they're trying to make it in a way that they don't use a situation like the scores to admit into the university. So therefore, they have a way out of being discriminating, because you don't have an objective way to judge students, and therefore it's easier for them to hide their whatever they're doing. And the other thing is, I understand that Harvard, right now they had a Harvard case which was won several years ago. I'm not too sure. Could you remind me of that? And Harvard is supposed to implement it, but I'm not too sure if it's being even implemented. So if you could let me know if that Harvard case which was won several years ago, if it was being implemented, and what can we do to have an objective system here in California and maybe throughout the United States?
Well, to answer your question, I think the case that you're referring to is the one that I've been talking about. This is Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard. We filed that lawsuit in 2014. It will be argued before the Supreme Court, we think, this November 2022, with a likely opinion coming June of 2023. It'll be almost 10 years since we filed until we finally get an opinion out of this.
Earlier said we need have discriminated against student stand up. If we find plaintiff, we'll be able to fund the legal foundation to fight the lawsuits. Right now, basically what happened is the other side is a lawsuit to take away the standardized test in UC. The right way to do is we have to use the lawsuit, gain it back, okay? Thank you.
Okay, next.
Hi,
Yes,
good
very-
afternoon. My name is Leanna Louie, and I'm from San Francisco. I am the president of the United Peace Collaborative. We are a nonprofit, and we're a bunch of volunteers that patrol San Francisco Chinatown. I have a couple questions. Well, number one, I have an announcement, and number two, I have an ask. I recently decided to run for office in San Francisco in the Sunset District, which is in District 4. And the reason why is because there are so many problems that we have discussed. And if you've paid attention to San Francisco politics at all, Selena and I have been in the forefront. Selena has been doing the recall of the school board, and I've been doing the recall of Chesa Bodine, along with my partner Robert Lowe, who's sitting over there. And my ask today is for you to support politicians. Well, actually, I don't really consider myself a politician. I'm a community activist, but I am going to go into politics because we're so underrepresented, and our values are at stake right now. So I'm just letting you guys know that there are people like me out there who will be running for office this November, and we need your support. My name is Leanna Louie, and thank you for being here, and thank you for doing this program. It's really been helpful.
Do you have a question?
Well, I do not have a question of the panel, but I just wanted to let people know that, you know, there are people like us out there that are fighting for the community, and that we're asking you to also to give us a hand so we could be uplifted as well, so we could serve.
Yeah. I think the previous this question about what are we supposed to do, and we panelists has answered that we need to. The movement is from the bottom up, and we need to find people to run for office, and that's a primary example of running for office and changing our community. So politics is always local. Start your own community, start your neighbor, and you see something you don't like, you can always organize and fighting for your values. Thank you. And next one.
Before that, I want to add one comment here, okay? You know, right now, this country, Asian Americans are ranked as the highest income, best educated. If Asian Americans' total income put together is equal to the GDP of Indonesia, our purchasing power is $1 trillion, right? However, unfortunately, this country, the rule been changed, been manipulated by many other liberal, interest group. Although they have a big corporation support, but what I'm saying is, if we unite, if we show our strength, we can win, okay?
Thank you. Oh, I know. Go ahead.
Liang Chao, Vice Mayor of Cupertino. I do have a question that has two parts. But first, I'd like to recognize Greg Tanaka, who is on the Palo Alto City Council. And so we have elected officials, those future elected officials, I think, but all of us couldn't get elected without the support of a lot of volunteers. So all of you are making an impact, whether you step up or not. But of course, it's better if more people can step up. And in Cupertino, I was elected with both not Chinese, but also Indian Americans. But in Prop 16 campaign, our campaign against that, Indian Americans are not as represented. So I'm so thrilled to see Rodvich here. And then, in fact, it's one of my Indian American volunteers who told me about this. I almost forgot, so I came in late. And so, first part of my question is, how do we reach out to more Indian Americans so that we have a stronger correlation? But let me finish my second part. The second part is really, we need to reach beyond Asian Americans. Prop 16, we won that campaign to defeat Prop 16 because out of the 14 counties where Hispanics is a majority, we won in each one of them. Hispanic Americans don't like this. They want to be able to earn admission and walk earn a degree and we stand up with their head high, they earned it fair and square, not because of any preference treatment. And so I wonder, can we unite Hispanic Americans, even get them to bring lawsuit that they are facing discrimination because of this preference treatment? That's the second part of my question. Thank you.
Just to clarify, it
Go
was
ahead.
Indian American, and then after that, young Asian American. Okay, perfect. So I fit both of those.
Short and precise. We're running up against the deadline.
Of course. So with the Indian Americans, very quickly, there are many Indian American organizations out there. The Indian American community is experiencing a renaissance in political activism. The Coalition of Hindus of North America, Hindu American Foundation, Hindu Policy and Action Research Collective are some of the organizations out there. You can certainly get involved with them. And on a personal note, my number is 949-247-9705. If you want to get involved, if you want to get connected to any of these, and I'm serious, just feel free to reach out to me or Jason can send you that. And then young Asian Americans, I'll get to that. There, it's kind of hard because a lot of them are brainwashed against their own self-interest, right? They've been told by their teachers all of these things that, you know, affirmative action is actually good for you. It was funny, I was on a talk with a good friend of mine, a state representative over in Michigan, but we and her disagree on affirmative action, and she thought that this was good for Asian Americans in jobs. But what we need to explain to them is this isn't about our self-interest. You know, we're not doing this so that our kids have a fair shot at college admissions. We're doing this so that we can preserve the American dream and so that we can give back to the country that gave so much to us by helping it become a more free and more equal version of itself. We're not doing this so that we can get into a better college, right? Like, whatever, you know, Ed's doing, it's great efforts, but it's probably not going to impact me directly since I'm heading to college next year. We're doing this so that the next generation of all Americans, not just Asian Americans, can have equality. And I think if we give out that message, that will really resonate with the youth. And one last note, giving out volunteer hours and stuff doesn't hurt either.
Okay. Yes, go ahead, Greg.
Hi, my name is Greg Lynn Tanaka. I'm currently on the Palo Alto City Council. I also ran for Congress in District 16. And you know, I've been on council for a while, since 2017. And so every year I write a lot of letters of recommendation. And talk about heartbreak. There's so many qualified Asian Americans apply for college and they don't get into where I think they should get in. It's incredibly unfair. If you're Asian American, you have to have that many more points. If you're Asian male, God help you, right? It's even worse. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be a meritocracy. And it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. And I think a lot of the comments of what you guys said on the panel is spot on. And Jason and team, thank you guys for bringing this to light. My question to you guys, and I think it's a big problem, because I think we recognize that this is a problem. Asian Americans in general, we've done very well professionally. We're very well educated. We tend to have higher incomes. But politically, we are incredibly weak, right? You know, there's an old saying that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And so often we're on the menu. And the reason why is because we really lack political clout. Now, as a group, we're actually fairly large, but Asian, as we know, is like, you know, half the world, right? It's like a kind of amorphous title. And one of the big issues I see is that we're not united. Even though we share a lot of the same values, like I think a lot of us value education, hard work. That's the kind of core value to a lot of Asian Americans. But we tend not to be united in terms of supporting each other, in terms of showing our political clout, in terms of, you know, donating to campaigns, helping on campaigns. We're you know, maybe extremely good in medicine, very extremely good in so many other professional areas, but in politics we really suck wind. My question to you guys is, how do we become more united? Because you look at other ethnicities, and they're way more united, right? They're way more together with it. Even if they have less professional skills, they have a lot less income. But as a group, we really don't come together. We don't rally together. We don't help each other. We don't, even though we share a lot of the same beliefs, but you know, in fact, some Asian Americans are the biggest critics of other Asian Americans, ironically. And it's tragic because we have so much in common, even though maybe some of us are Japanese. I'm half Japanese, I'm half Chinese, right? There's a lot of people are mixed race. We share so much of the common beliefs, but we do not stand together. And my question to you guys is, how do we change the narrative? How do we go from, you know, talking a good game to actually seeing some real political action, because that's the issue right now, is that the reason why this is an issue, the reason why we're here today, the reason why our kids, and my son is a rising senior, so he's applying to college this coming season, the reason why he and others are going to struggle and really not do very well mission-wise is because as a group, we do not, we lack total political clout. It's just horrendous. So how do we change? How do we get united as a group? Because numerically we're large, income-wise we're large, but we do not unite. So I'd like to know.
Greg, I can answer that for you. I think your action actually help answer that question. I think you already moved the first step ahead, and hopefully there's more people to support you. Thank you.
Some comments. You know, 8 years ago, before Mr. Bloom launched the Pfizer lawsuits, before we united, you know, to fighting the civil rights complaint, right? 2/3 of Asian Americans were brainwashed, support affirmative action. Nobody in the media, nobody in the Congress talk about anti-Asian discrimination in college, right? And my answer to that is, you know, we cannot wait for Asian American community being united. We have to have pioneer, you know, willing to fight, and you know, this kind of fight is just, you know, a group of people, like initially 64 organizations, you know, takes the lead, and then that time over 100 Asian American organizations against us, right? But we are not afraid, but by, you know, by get our message out, by speak out, by form organization, by fighting, we change the tide. We change the public opinion. Right now we have over 300 organizations. The U.S. Congress already talk about, have law, have amendment on the bill, talk about how to help Asian Americans. So I want to give you a positive, very positive message. If we fight, if we speak out, and you know, we are going to win this battle. So don't be afraid, but by doing things, by taking actions, gradually our, you know, alliance will become stronger and stronger.
Okay.
Okay, I think
Next.
I was actually in line over here for about 30 minutes, so I'm going to take over the mic, if I may. Can you hear me?
Oh.
Yeah, I was actually in line
I'm
on
sorry.
this. I was in line on this side.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm the ghost. I'm the ghost in the corner. I'm Tim Gorsolowski. I'm the candidate for state assembly in 26, actually, where you're sitting. And so, one comment to Rutvik. In case you run out of something to do, you would be an excellent candidate for state assembly here, by the way. So, but thank you guys for everything, and we really appreciate you having us here today. Mr. Bloom, I've been an employer in the Silicon Valley for 30 years plus, with thousands of employees. I can write a book on schools and issues with and students coming in as employees. Quick question with regard to doing the lawsuit and finding the, and we provide investigations as well. So is it difficult, do you find it difficult when you're trying to prove a case of this magnitude with a school? Is it difficult getting the real information from the people to make a case? Just curious.
That's a very good question. So it took us about a year and a half of what I earlier referred to as the discovery process. This is something that many lawsuits undergo. We found data from Harvard, we found memorandum from Harvard, we found studies from Harvard that never would have come to light, ever, without Students for Fair Admissions bringing these lawsuits.
Wow.
I think what Harvard turned over was valid. I don't think they really obfuscated or disassembled what they turned over. That can be a very damaging penalty from the courts if that's shown to be the case. We deposed, I think, maybe 15 Harvard employees. So it's a long, difficult, expensive process. When I tell you spending 7.5 to 8 years in litigation, The University of North Carolina has disclosed just a few years ago that they had spent $26 million defending our lawsuit.
Wow.
This was a few years ago. If UNC has spent $26 million, it's likely Harvard has spent close to $50 million.
Oh my.
What have we spent? A tiny fraction of that. And the reason we can't go out and hire a national law firm. When this lawsuit was filed, I had 2 lawyers who had recently left a large firm that decided that they would do it based upon me promising that I would go out and raise money for them for the next year, that they would be able to take care of their families. One guy had 6 children. They would be able to take care of their families for a year. And they left that law firm and sued Harvard. Now that law firm actually has 20 lawyers. They're one of the best in the country. So it's an enormously difficult thing. I think the data that we got from Harvard, the depositions that we got from Harvard were accurate. And I think that's now a reflection of the overall case that we put before the Supreme Court.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody.
Let's switch back to this lady.
Hi, thank you. My name is Annie He. I'm coming from Fremont. I'm not politician or anything. I'm here just as a parent. I want to thank you all. Mr. Bloom, you are our hero. All the panelists, you are pioneers, our Asian community. As a parent, I think you all deserve big applause from us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very quick comments here. A few years ago, I was able to join Mr. Zhao's Zoom meeting talking about Asian parents, talking about everything talked about today. But one thing that I learned from that conversation is our Asian parents, we're depending on organizations, somebody to help us. But actually, the force is within us. We need to fight. We need to educate our kids to fight because we're fighting for our kids' future. If we're not being a role model, fight, how our kids can fight for themselves. So today, as a parents, we can fight in the school, PTSA, we can fight in the school board, we can fight with our kids together. So that's everything we have to do ourselves, and we're so thankful to have the pioneers, leaders leading us, donate, helping them, support them. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Madhavi and I have a question for all the panelists here.
Go ahead.
My question is there any data available that when a child get in any elite school based on the affirmative action advantage, are they able to perform, keep up with the study, with the high pressure, or do they come under pressure and may not be able to complete the schooling, or even they finish the schooling, are they able to deliver the same kind of quality at job, or it is a missed chance for somebody who could have done better?
Yeah, let me answer that question. I think that we have a professor, Dr. Sander. I was trying to invite him into the panel, but he's too busy. He has a schedule conflict. But he has published a book called the Mismatch Theory, and he had a lot of data in that book talking about when you put people who are only community college ready and you push them into UC, that's a big no-no, because if they cannot getting enough good grades to move into the next year and the year, they destroy their self-confidence and they drop out. And so the dropout rates is very high in all his studies. So I encourage you to go to Amazon and search that book. And his name is Dr. Sander, S-A-N-D-E-R. And the book is called The Mismatch. And we have a lot of data on that as well.
Can I ask a follow-up? Just want to know, Mr. Bloom, is this any way advantageous to you when you're putting the court case in Supreme Court, this data by Mr. Sanders?
No, it wasn't. There is some legal technical reasons for that. It's much more of I think a terrific policy to attack, but legally there isn't a provision of the law that you could point to and say they are breaking the law because they are mismatch is causing some students to drop out or to change their major. That's not a legally actionable cause of action. Now, it's a terrific argument, and it's true. Our expert in the Harvard case, Peter Arcidiacono at Duke, did a study of incoming freshmen at Duke who had low SAT scores, were African American, and when they started at Duke, they decided that they wanted to go into STEM majors. Yet at the end of the first year, 70% of them had switched out of STEM into a less competitive field. So I think not only Professor Sander has done terrific work in this, but there are other scholars that have shown these results as well.
Okay, our last.
Boy, am I last?
You're the last.
Okay, well, everyone, my name is Bob Brunton. I live in Fremont. Yes, I'm running for state assembly. That's my cheap commercial. I really do have a core question for you. Since we live here in Silicon Valley, we are the land of disruption. You know, we disrupt things, we recreate things. And I believe part of this problem you're talking about is you're looking at it, I think, from maybe the wrong direction. And I'd like you to look at another direction. One of the things I've done in my life, besides being in product engineering, I got elected 3 times as a community college trustee. What's the key word there? I got elected as a trustee. We'd have meetings like this, and I would get yelled at consistently. And I'd have to make a decision on the benefit of my community. And that's the basic fundamental problem you're having, is that we elect K-12 board members, we elect community college board members, but you do not get to talk to the UC Board of Regents. And my recommendation is, frankly, is that we restructure education so that you actually have accountability to the UC by having elected members who are responsible to the people and the taxpayers. That is my suggestion, and I want your thoughts on that.
You're talking about UC region.
Correct. We eliminate the UC regents and replace them with elected board members that are responsible to the citizens and students of this state. That's what I think.
Very good idea, you know. Absolutely, I support that.
That's a good idea. I support that, but that's probably beyond what
that is what the state assembly could, in fact, do. And we need 6 Republicans elected in this state so that we can bring this up. Okay. We have been meeting with the common sense Republicans to do this. I know you're nonpartisan, and I get that. And I want you to support Bob Brunton from the state assembly. But find there are other people out there. We could bring this up. It's time to restructure education. Our system was built in the 1940s. It's time to redo California for what's going to be for 2040. That's the way I look at it.
I think we already know there are quite a few education reform initiative in California because of the pandemic. They don't have enough signature. But I think they're going to come back, and the motive is there to reform California education, because once you break up the money of chain, you would have a different system in place. And certainly many people recognize education in California, especially the K-12, is broken. So, but that's not a topic today. We're just talking about the. I think we're coming to the. You have a last question?
If possible, yeah. So actually, I had a question about the Hispanics that I hope to talk to Mr. Bloom later because it wasn't answered.
Okay.
But I think this last question is important. It's from a friend. He was here earlier, Rahul, but he has to leave. He asked, when will the trial begin? And when would we possibly expect a result?
Next June, we will have results and. Okay.
It's likely the argument in the Harvard and UNC cases will take place this coming November. We're not positive of that, but it's likely. And it is also likely that the opinion won't come out until June of 2023. So we're looking at a final opinion out of the Supreme Court in about a year.
So how much you still need for people to donate to help you hit the home run?
Well, thank you for that layup question. We have enormous expenses coming up. I will tell you that when the court granted the Harvard and the UNC cases, they consolidated them, which means that Harvard and UNC will be argued for 1 hour before the U.S. Supreme Court. Students for Fair Admissions will have one lawyer taking a half an hour, and Harvard and UNC will likely have one, maybe two lawyers for the other half hour. But here's what's likely to happen. This has been written about in a number of places. Soon to be Justice Jackson has recused herself during testimony at the Senate. She has recused herself from the Harvard case, which means it is likely that this consolidated case with one lawyer will now be deconsolidated. So there will be one lawyer representing Students for Fair Admissions in the Harvard case and one lawyer representing Students for Fair Admissions in the University of North Carolina case. Now, that just doubles my expenses. So to the degree that anyone can help defray those costs, please make a donation through our website. I appreciate that. No, there isn't a goal. I can tell you that sort of the back of the napkin is that each lawsuit will require a separate advocate, and there will be a 3-person team helping that advocate prepare for oral argument. It is likely that for 6 weeks leading up to the argument, those 6 lawyers won't do anything except work on Students for Fair Admissions. So if you take a Washington, D.C. appellate firm that charges $700 or $800 or $900 an hour, multiply that by 3 lawyers, multiply that by 6 weeks, and you come up with hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we don't have a goal. We're just trying to kind of tread water at this stage. So whatever you could do, could.
Yeah, add a request at the very last. Can you state if people wanted to donate, where they go to?
Yes, you can go to studentsforfairadmissions.org and donate online. If you prefer to send a check, there's an address for our offices, our mailing service that you can mail a check. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, guys. With that, we conclude today's panelists and the keynote speak. Everybody put a hand together for well-informed. So when you leave, just look around and pick up the garbage, and so that we can, our volunteer will walk through with the last to do. Thank you.